This month, we move our focus into the back of the body. So we are building upon last month where we were working on opening the front of the body. Now we are taking that, stacking everything we learn, and now moving into back of the body. So welcome to June. Everybody come to stand at the top of your mat. Let's bring our big toes to touch, heels slightly apart. Start to stack the body, organizing. Ground down through your feet. Move your awareness all the way up. Coming into the pelvic floor. Stacking here all the way up through the crown of the head. And reaching out through your fingertips. Now guide your awareness to the back of the body. Connecting from the soles of your feet. Following that line all the way up through the back of the legs. Continuing all the way up through your back. Finally connecting through the back of the arms out through your fingertips. And keeping that strength in mind, let's inhale our hands in front of heart center and set an intention for your practice. Allowing your breath to deepen now in and out through the nose. Slight constriction at the back of your throat. Releasing your hands by your side. Opening your eyes, and with your next inhale, let's bring our arms above head. Palms touch as you reach here and ground strongly down through your feet. And then exhale, fold forward into Uttanasana. Inhale, look up with a flat spine. Exhale, jump or step back through high plank. Lower Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, let's step our right foot in between our hands. Keep that back heel stacked directly over your toes, and inhale your arms up for one breath here, pausing at the peak. And then exhale your hands back down to the mat. Step back into high plank and lower Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Switching sides, inhale, step your left foot forward. Guide your arms up with your inhale, pausing at the peak, and then exhale your hands back down to the mat, stepping back into high plank, lower Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Now for our first downward facing dog, let's bring a pretty substantial bend into the knees. Start to curl the tailbone up towards the ceiling and lengthen through the spine as much as you can. Keep drawing those shoulders down onto the back. And if you can maintain this structure of the spine, then you can start to gently move your legs towards being straight. And a couple more breaths here. And then bringing your gaze forward, let's jump or step to the top of our mat. Inhale, lengthen through the spine. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, let's rise all the way up. Palms touch as your gaze comes up towards your fingertips. And then exhale, arms by your side into Samasthiti. Good, another one. Inhale, let's bring our arms up. Gaze comes up. Exhale, fold forward into Uttanasana. Inhale, look up with a flat spine. Exhale, jump or step back through high plank. Lower Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, upward facing dog. Draw your shoulders down your back. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, step your right foot in between your hands. Keep that back heel lifted and stacked over your toes. Inhale your arms up for one breath. And then exhale them back down to the mat, stepping back into high plank and lower Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Switching sides, inhale, step your left foot forward. With that heel lifted, inhale, let's come up with the arms, pausing at the peak. Exhale your hands back down to the mat. Step back into high plank and lower Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. We'll take the same action here with the knees if you need it, especially in order to curl that tailbone up towards the ceiling. Starting to stack here now from the pelvic floor all the way up through the crown of the head. Constantly creating that length and the healing properties in this posture so that the spine can start to learn where it should lie again. So moving it back into place, we're teaching the spine how to sit again. Keep the breath moving in and out through your nose. And let's bring our gaze forward. Jump or step to the top of your mat. Inhale, lengthen through the spine. And exhale, fold forward. Inhale, let's rise all the way up with the arms. Palms touch, gaze comes up. And then exhale your arms down by your side into Samasthiti. Last one here. Inhale, let's come on up with the arms. Gaze comes up. Lengthen here. And then exhale, fold forward into Uttanasana. Inhale, look up with a flat spine. And exhale, jump or step back through high plank. Lower Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, let's step our right foot in between our hands. Rise up with your inhale, pausing at the peak. And exhale your hands back down to the mat, stepping back into high plank and lower Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Last side here, left foot comes forward. Let's rise up with the arms, grounding strongly into the feet. Then exhale your hands back down to the mat. Step back into high plank and lower Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Now let's find our hands, spreading your fingers nice and wide. Make sure the weight is evenly spread into the palms so that we're not rotating in or out, but find that central point. And then this will also help you root back, curl your tailbone, and find that length through the spine. Let's bring our gaze forward. Jump or step to the top of your mat. Inhale, lengthen through the spine. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, let's rise all the way up, palms touch. And then exhale, arms come down by your side into Samasthiti. Again, standing at the top of your mat, just make sure that your big toes are still touching, heels slightly apart. And we're going to move into Chandrasana. So let's bring our arms above head, palms touch once again. Interlacing your fingers, but leaving your pointer fingers out. Find the length through the spine. And then exhale, let's come up and over to the right. Equal weight into your feet and balance through the pelvis so that we can find even more space into the right side of the body. Allow your inhale to guide you back up through center, lengthen here. And then exhale, come over to the left. So steady into the breath as you find a little more space here. Inhale back up through center. And then release your arms by your side into Samasthiti. Good, let's take a step back with our right foot. We're going to move into Utthita Trikonasana. So right toes pointing towards the back of your mat, left toes angled towards the side. With your legs nice and straight, inhale your arms up parallel with the mat, and let's bring our right hand onto our right shin, top of your foot, or to the inside edge of your right foot as your left hand extends up towards the ceiling. Spreading your fingers nice and wide, expanding the skin on your hands. And then bring a little more expansion into the right side of the body. So as much length as you feel here on the left, now move that same awareness into the right. Let's drop our left hand down onto the mat. We're going to move into Parvrita Trikonasana. So let's square both feet and our hips to the back of the room. And let's place our left hand onto our right shin, right hand up towards the ceiling, or it can remain on your sacrum to help you keep that balance in through the pelvis. I'm not so much concerned with how deeply you twist into the posture, but more so that you can reach the crown of the head forward, extending as far through the spine as you can. And then from that placement of the spine, you can start to spin through the chest. Feeling the expansion here with the support of the back body as you move a little bit deeper into the posture. Okay, keeping your feet where they are, we're going to bring both hands onto either side of that right foot and fold forward over that right leg. Now your hands can remain out in front of that right foot slightly, or you can start to walk them back kind of into the middle of your mat and flip your palms so that your fingertips are pointing towards your left foot. You're grounding strongly down through the mat and pulling here so that you can extend even more through the crown of the head. Ensuring that we're slightly pulling back on that right hip, left hip forward, and then ground down. So we're always creating that foundation and that support in our postures and starting to stack the body here. And with your next inhale, let's guide the torso up, standing up nice and tall. We're going to pivot on the toes, moving into Utthita Trikonasana now on the left. So left toes towards the front, right angled just to the side of the wall. Inhale your arms up parallel with the mat, and then let's drop our left hand onto our shin, top of your foot, or to the inside edge. Or feel free to use blocks here if you just need that in-between space. Then let's start to send our breath into our right fingertips. So we're expanding here. And as much as you can feel your breath in through your chest, you should be able to feel it throughout your entire body. So into your fingertips, into your toes, so that we're pulling the entire body into the practice. Beautiful. Let's move into Parivrtta Trikonasana. So let's drop both hands onto either side of that left foot. Step your right foot in slightly and now square to the front of the room. And when you're ready, move into your twist. So right hand onto your left shin, top of your foot, or down onto the mat. And then let's extend our left arm up towards the ceiling. Again, find the space through the back of the body here, organizing the tissue of the body. And then if you can hold that space, then you can start to twist a little bit deeper. Inhale. Let's come back into center, both hands onto either side of that left foot. Start to walk your fingertips out in front of you and just fold forward over that left leg. Taking the same action here with your hands as you did on the other side. So maybe walking them back, flipping your palms around. And then really use your palms and your arms here to pull your torso more towards your left leg. Finding the extension, expansion through the chest as you start to work the crown of the head down towards the mat. And inhale, let's rise all the way up and come to stand at the top of your mat into Samastitihi. And once again, let's take a step back with our right foot. Right toes pointing towards the back. We're coming to Virabhadrasana D, so lift your left heel up towards the ceiling, stacking it over your toes, and sink into that right knee so it's stacked directly over your ankle. Your arms come above head, palms can touch, or they can be slightly apart, especially if this gives you a little more space into the shoulders as you start to work them down your back. And as much as we want to sink into that front knee, we want to lift up and out of the pelvis. So let's draw the pelvic floor up. Draw your lower abs back towards your spine and feel that lift away from the crease of your right hip. Then we'll move into Parivrtta Parsvottanasana. So hands come in front of your chest into prayer, crossing your left elbow onto your right knee. You can feel free to open your arms up here if the space is there in the body, or they can just remain in prayer, grounding that elbow strongly into that right knee as you find the space again, lifting out of that crease on that right hip. Good. A little stronger with the breath in and out through the nose, always coming back to that consistent rhythmic breath, which is really going to start to align everything into the practice so that we aren't just working just with the physical body, but we're aligning the body, the breath, and the mind. Okay, let's release from the posture, Dropping your left heel down onto the mat. Inhale, let's rise all the way up, pivoting on the toes. And we'll move into Virabhadrasana, be on the left. So stacking that left knee directly over your toes, keeping that back heel lifted nice and high. And same actions here, so lifting up and out of the pelvic floor. Start to feel the back of the body wrapping around to the front, offering that support so that you can lengthen a little bit more through your fingertips. Beautiful, and then let's move into our twist. So hands come in front of your chest into prayer, bringing your right elbow onto your left knee. Same option here to open the arms up and expand even more through the chest. Or just keep them in front here into prayer. But use them here to find that lift. And then allow your breath just to guide you, and it'll tell you exactly where you need to move the body if you soften enough to those subtle sensations. Allow your inhale to guide you back up to standing, dropping your back heel, and come to stand at the top of your mat into Samastitihi. Good, let's take a vinyasa. So toes touching, heels slightly apart. Inhale, let's bring our arms up, palms touch as you reach and lengthen here. And exhale, fold forward into Uttanasana. Inhale, look up with a flat spine. Exhale, jumper step back into high plank. Starting to fill out the top of your back, and then lower Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Right away, bringing your gaze forward, jumper step to the top of your mat. Inhale, lengthen through the spine. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, let's rise all the way up. And then releasing your arms by your side into Samastitihi. Good. So let's bring our right knee up. A few options here. You can bring your left hand onto your right knee, coming into our balancing posture. Or you can grab onto the outer edge of your right foot with your left hand, working to extend that leg out in front of you. Your right hand can remain on your hip, or eventually it's reaching back behind you. Full posture is to bring your gaze back over your right fingertips. And see if you can keep dropping into that right hip, so keep curling it underneath you. And as much as you're curling it underneath you, you want to be extending your right foot forward and reaching your right fingertips back. So there's this constant push-pull of the body, allowing for that equilibrium to come into that central point. Okay, let's keep that knee or that foot lifted. We're going to wrap both hands around our right foot. Standing nice and tall with both hands around that right foot, or both hands can be onto that right knee. We're lifting up as high as we can with the crown of the head as we ground down through that left foot. Constantly coming back to the breath, and see if you can soften the jaw and soften the forehead. Lengthening here. So release our hands, but keep that foot lifted for 3, 2, 1, and gently guide your right foot back down to meet your left. And let's switch sides. So bringing that left knee up, either catching onto your knee with your right hand or to the outer edge of your left foot. Find the full expression of your posture here, matching what you did on the other side. And as you find that extension, see if you can drop that left hip back into place. Pull up on the pelvic floor and allow the back of the body to do the support here. Allowing your breath to guide you deeper into the posture. And then let's come back through center, either grabbing onto your left knee with both hands or onto either side of your foot, keeping that leg extended. Again, ensuring that we're not collapsing down into the pelvis here, but we're lifting up nice and tall with the spine. So if we need to bring a slight bend into that knee to find that extension, that's much more preferred, because now the body is in support of opening here. And we'll keep that leg lifted, hands onto your hips for 3, 2, and 1. Gently release your left foot down to meet your right. Good. Standing at the top of your mat, let's take a vinyasa. So inhale, let's bring our arms up, palms touch as you gaze up. And exhale, fold forward into Uttanasana. Inhale, look up with a flat spine. Exhale, jump or step back into high plank. Fill out the top of your back by pushing down into your hands, and then lower Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, upward facing dog. Really drop your shoulders down your back. And exhale, downward facing dog. Move into Kapotasana. So let's inhale our right shin behind our right wrist crease. Keeping your back toes tucked under, and really work to square through your hips before you move into the full expression. So drawing that right hip back, left hip forward. Again, supporting the core of the body by pulling up on that pelvic floor. And you can either work here with the posture, or we're going to take a full posture by moving into our twist. So threading your left hand behind your right. Hands can come into prayer. And same action as before, we're using our hands, grounding down here to find that lift up and out here through the torso. And if the intensity of the posture is rising, guide your breath to the crown of your head. Starting to spread the energy out throughout the body. And just understand you're only here for a few more breaths. So if you can soften and sink into it a little bit more, then the healing properties can really take place into that hip. Let's move back through center, coming back onto your fingertips. Options here, you can stay here, just working here on your fingertips, or we're going to bend our back knee. First, catching on with our left hand behind you, or the full posture is to catch on with both hands, interlacing your fingers, and we're going to start to kick that left foot back, starting to open up through the chest. So this requires us to again lift up out of the pelvic floor so that we're not collapsing, and then really find that space into the upper back. Just be aware of how your breath is moving through the body and maybe where it's getting stuck. You want to be drawing your breath all the way down into the belly and extending up. Let's gently release your foot if you have a hold of it. Hands coming back down onto the mat, and push into downward facing dog. And switching sides. Inhale, let's bring our left shin forward. Right toes stay tucked under. First, find the alignment of that pelvis. You can either stay up here on your fingertips or move into your twist. Right hand threads behind your left, dropping your hands into prayer, and then strongly ground them down into the mat to find that lift. And you should feel the wrapping of the back body around here, and then that'll offer you the support and the strength to really ground down and find the space through the chest. Now let's come back up onto our fingertips, moving back through center, and move into our second variation here. So either staying on your fingertips, or you can bend that right knee, catching on with your right hand. Maybe eventually both hands come interlacing your fingers and you start to kick that foot back down towards the mat. Finding the lift and the space through the chest. And really the support has to be coming in through that core. So you want to be drawing everything in through the center and then lift up and out. Moving back into your Ujjayi breath. And then let's gently release our foot. Fingertips come down onto the mat. We'll step back into high plank and lower Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Now bringing your gaze forward, let's jump all the way through onto our seat. And let's take a nice wide stance with our legs. So you want to ensure that you're not rolling back into your sit bones. And if you are, just come up onto a little block here. Toes up towards the ceiling, heels grounding strongly down onto the mat. And if you're having trouble, you can also place your hands behind your back in order to sit up nice and tall. And this might be deep enough for some people. If you can move a little bit deeper, you're going to start to walk your hands out in front of you and maybe eventually catching onto your ankles or your big toes as you start to draw your torso down towards the mat. Upavishta Konasana. Bringing your awareness into the back of the legs and starting to understand that in this practice we're unwinding the tissue of the body, really working through old habits, old patterns that have settled in because of the way we've been holding or practicing different things in our lives. So if we can unwind, we create that space. And then now we can start to reprogram, shifting into a new arena that actually starts to support the way the body is supposed to move. A couple more breaths here, maybe moving a little bit deeper. Allowing the breath to guide you into that space in between. And then sitting up nice and tall, let's draw our heels together. And then let's swing our right heel back behind you. Again, taking a nice wide stance with the legs. Ground down through that left foot. And then bring your left hand to the inside edge of your left foot. Right arm reaches up and over. You might want to place that right hand on the back of your head, offering a little more support here. Full postures to catch on to that left foot with both hands and start to spin your chest. So you're using that left elbow into the mat or wherever it lands, starting to spin your chest up towards the ceiling. And then find a little more expansion into the left side of the body. And then simply breathe here. And if your mind is wandering, keep drawing it back into the breath. So the breath is always constant, it's always there. So it's something we can always rely on to drop back into. Moving back up through center. Let's switch sides, straightening that right leg. Left heel comes back behind you. Again, organizing the body, and then right hand to the inside edge of your right foot. Left arm reaches up and over, catching onto your head or maybe down onto that right foot. Just noticing where your body, again, is getting stuck or it feels really tight. And it might require you to back out of the posture a little bit to find that alignment again through the spine and then move from that place. So maybe not moving as deep into the posture so that we get stuck. Always moving to a place where we can have those micro movements or adjustments into the body. Inhale, let's come back up through center, straightening your legs. And then we'll take a vinyasa here. So crossing your ankles, sending your feet back behind you. Taking a moment here to stack your heels directly over your toes. Ground your hands strongly down into the mat and push into your upper back, watching how it flares up a little bit. And with an extremely strong torso, start to lower Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Bringing your gaze forward, let's jump all the way through onto our seat and lie flat on our back. We'll move into our back bends. So let's bring our knees up towards the ceiling, feet flat onto the mat. You should be able to graze your heels with your fingertips and then move your hands back by your side as you push your pelvis up towards the ceiling. So this is stage 1. You can stop here if this is where the body feels best. If you're adding on, your hands are going to come onto your lower back, walking your elbows more underneath you as you find a little more lift here, pushing your belly button up towards the ceiling. If you're still adding on, hands come beside your ears, fingertips pointing towards your heels. Then possibly pushing onto the crown of the head, reestablishing the foundation with your feet and your hands, and then all the way up into your back bend. Eventually you want even weight between your feet and your hands, slight tightening of the glutes here, and then a lifting up of the belly button. Taking one more full inhale, and then you can release flat onto your back, exhaling. Straighten your legs, straighten your arms above head. Just allowing the sensations of your back bend to settle into the body. And we're going to take one more today. So you can walk through the stages, stopping at whatever place is best for you. We'll start with stage 1. So knees up towards the ceiling, hands by your side. Inhale, let's lift our pelvis up. You can bring your hands onto your lower back for stage 2, walking your elbows underneath you for that support and that lift. And hands can come beside your ears, pushing on to the crown of the head. Find your feet in your hands. Stabilize here first. And then if you can, we're pushing up into our full wheel. Seeing if you can maintain that same deep rhythmic breath that we've maintained throughout this entire practice. Beautiful. Let's release, coming to lie flat onto our back. Bringing your knees in towards your chest, hugging them nice and tight, maybe rocking from side to side to massage that lower spine. Then we'll move into Halasana. So your feet are going to come straight up towards the ceiling, lifting up and over behind your head. Hands can support on your lower back. You are reaching your toes for the mat behind you, but if they don't reach, you can bend your knees and also rest them on your forehead. If your toes are meeting the mat, you can interlace your hands and bring them down as well. Even in these compression postures, you can find a little space by lifting the pelvis up towards the ceiling and reaching your ears away from your neck. And then let's start to guide ourselves out of the posture, coming to lie flat onto our back. Let's splay our feet out to the side, releasing through the hips. Arms come by the side. Find more space through the neck here, reaching the crown of the head away from the ears. Reaching the ears away from the shoulders, so everything is creating that space. And then allow the softest breath possible to guide you into our final relaxation. Let's gently start to deepen our breath, bringing our knees up in towards our chest, rolling onto the right side of the body, and gently make your way up to a comfortable seated position at the top of your mat. Starting to stack the body here. You can bring your hands in front of heart center when you're ready, deepening your breath. Thank you very much, everyone. Namaste.